Well, we've already talked about his breeding kink, so we might as well go ahead and get back on the train of talking about Matt Walsh. He's got a video entitled Doctor Says Men Can Get Pregnant. So that's going to be an interesting one to talk about. I'm sure nothing is going to go wrong in this video. The first one we have here is from Caden, just a cute sketch I did after watching the Your Art Is Worth It video. I might continue it, but we'll see. Suris has been a huge inspiration and comfort for us for the past 5 or so years. We're plural, so their system. Wanted to give back a little bit. I don't have any money, but this is a talent that I do have. Also, that's supposed to be Sunset City in the background, but I don't know if that came through here. It looks like Sunset City when you look at it with the sunset like right there. It makes sense. You just got to take care of yourself. Don't worry about me. In your life, you come first. I like how there's all of the words. All of the words are here on what's supposed to be chat. Also, apparently chat is a furry, which y'all are being called out. Anyway, the next one we have here is from Fahrenheit. Said this one took a couple of days, but it's the first attempt I've made at the slime catgirl model. Well, your first attempt came out really good. I especially like how you did the clothes. I like all of the layered folding that's going on here. Really, really good. Let's do a thing. God, I actually never noticed how often I said that until people pointed it out to me. The next one we have here is from, and the last one we have here is from Knitted Cryptic. I forgot to post this when I made it, but it was like 3 a.m. or so. It's Suris looking as sleepy as I felt. I mean, I always feel this sleepy. I unironically, I feel this right now. I'm tired. I'm tired. Anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and get into the actual video itself after I tell you guys. Thank you very much for all your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into the content.
People who identify as trans exist. People who make the claim that they are a sex other than what they were born at birth exist.
A gender.
Those people exist. However, the claims they are making about reality are false. That's what we're saying. We're denying their claims, not their physical existence, you moron. Then the conversation moved on.
Okay, so that's one of those like little stingers that I used to be able to have at the beginning of videos. But do we address that now, or do we address that when we get into the part where he talks about it in the video? I think what we do is we speed Wet Mulch up to about 1.5 times speed, and then we go ahead and listen to the video itself. We'll comment on what he said when it's relevant in the video. Otherwise, we'll be repeating ourselves. So let's go.
On and got more bizarre as we get to this exchange between the doctor and a Republican lawmaker on the issue of whether men can get pregnant. And you feel like you kind of know what the answer is going to be, but there's one part of this answer that's pretty interesting, so I want you to listen to this.
I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. My prediction is going to be that the claim men can get pregnant is going to be misconstrued with the claim cis men can get pregnant. The statement cis men can get pregnant is false, as far as we know, currently. The statement men can get pregnant is true, because a man is someone who identifies with the masculine characteristics that society has shaped up for that side of our gendered demographic. Said there are some cis men who can, there are very, very rare. Oh? If you can find me an example, that would be helpful. Because I have not said a trans woman can be given a womb and can get pregnant. I've actually never heard that. That one feels... Hold on. You know what? Hold on. Can a womb? Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see here. It is theoretically possible to transplant a uterus into someone who has been born male, but the body would need a lot of preparation. Gender reassignment surgery would be much more involved. As with traditional male-to-female surgery, doctors would have to create a vaginal canal. Okay, so apparently this is a thing that has existed in the theoretical landscape for a while, but has not existed in terms of, like, done medical science. As far as we know, we're working on that. It's a soon kind of thing. Okay. Some people who are AMAB are also born with a uterus. So, well, it's expensive. So, yeah, not it is expensive. It is a thing that apparently has not been done yet. If there's a case of this happening, then that's a thing. But this is a thing that appears to exist only in the theoretical. But given that the logic behind it would be the same as any other biological transplant, it should be doable. I don't see why it wouldn't, but you'd need to transplant not only the uterus, but you'd also have to transplant the eggs. Like, you'd be transplanting a lot of individual body parts. It's been a soon kind of thing for the last 14 years. Gotcha. It's been done, but it was years ago and the person died. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not... Okay. Hold on. This is an interesting one. Here's an article here on Penn Medicine. Let's take a look at it. After Penn Medicine's first living donor uterus transplant, donor meets baby carried in her transplanted womb. I like how it's not loading the image. As a proud new mom, Chelsea Jovanovich tenderly placed her newborn son into Cheryl, I'm not pronouncing last names, I'm sorry. Cheryl's arms. The two women marveled at baby Teldon's angelic features, sweet disposition, and other remarkable... Okay, I don't care about the feels of the story, I just want the mechanics. After having her own two kids, Urban, who is from Bucks County, PA, never gave too much thought to her uterus again until one day when she saw a story about uterus donation in the local news. When I heard this donor's story, I was blown away. I needed to find out more. Whether it be faith, stars aligning, or whatnot, something drew me to this story. I felt it in my heart. It was what I was meant to do. So she donated a uterus to another cis woman. Okay. Which shows that living donors for transplanted wombs are a thing, but this does not seem to be a thing that we have done yet in terms of womb going to AMAB transfem. But that's not the end. Welcome to the Daily Mail. Ugh. Indian surgeon plans to transplant womb into a trans woman in world's first op that could pave the way for to get pregnant. A surgeon in India will attempt to transplant a womb into a trans woman. My fucking God! How? How hard is it to just say trans woman here? Why do you have to use this word? What the fuck? Sorry, I need to... Yeah, virtual screen was off. Indian surgeon plans to transplant womb into this fucking word. This one right here. This one right here. I don't get why. Why do you have to use that word when in your actual article you use the right word? Fucking hell. A surgeon in India will attempt to transplant a womb into a trans woman who was born a man with the view to make them making them pregnant. My God, you have editors at the Daily Mail, right? You have that? That's a thing you have here? I hope. I sincerely hope the Daily Mail has editors, because with the view to making them pregnant. The fucking dumb shit. What's the bias? Low rate of factual reporting, right-wing bias. Who would have thought that the Daily Mail Anyway. The risky procedure will involve taking the reproductive organs from a dead donor or a patient who has transitioned the other way and had theirs removed. There has only been one documented case of a womb being inserted into a trans woman in the past, but she died from complications just months later. Okay. So apparently there was an instance where this happened that backs up what Axolotls has said. Impregnating a trans woman would be an even bigger feat and would require the use of in vitro and a C-section because they do not have a fully functioning vagina. What do they mean by fully functioning here? I wonder if the person who wrote this article has ever been able to find a clitoris. Dr. Narendra Kaushik, who runs a gender reassignment clinic in New Delhi, has said he's very optimistic he can make success of the procedure. Every transgender woman wants to be as female as possible, and that includes being a mother, he is quoted as saying in the Mirror. A bit essentialist, but okay. The way towards this is with a uterine transplant, the same as a kidney or any other transplant. This is the future. We cannot predict exactly when this will happen, but it will happen very soon. The surgeon has not revealed the recipient or given a timetable for the surgery, but he added, we have our plans and we are very, very optimistic about this. And then, yeah. How babies are conceived in biological females who have a womb transplant. In theory, the principle should be the same for men using the eggs of a donor, but it has never been attempted because there has yet to be a successful womb transplant to a trans woman. Okay. Womb transplants cost a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So, at the very least, we have some information on the how here. So, the answer is, in theory, whether you want to say trans man or you want to say cis man, both of them, in theory, could get pregnant with the use of one of these procedures. Why did I say trans man there? Trans woman or cis man. Both of them. Could have an artificial or real uterus implanted into them. That's a thing that can happen. We have not even started the Matt Walsh video, and we had to go down that tangent. At least one of the common ways they're done of the cis men. Said intersex people. Yes, I understand intersex people are part of this conversation, but still. Don't forget intersex AMAB. True and fair. Lunar Alice says, rolling out the tanks with these war funds. Jesus fucking Christ. Thank you for redeeming your points, Lunar, for a... Ooh, of course. Jesus Christ. Anywho. So, yeah. The reason that I'm not talking about intersex people for this conversation, though, is because I know for a fact that someone like Matt is going to dismiss the conversation about intersex people instantly. Like, that is an instant dismissal from someone like him. Which means somebody who's a viewer in my audience, who happens to lean to the same political affiliation as Matt Walsh, would also dismiss that conversation. But nevertheless, that is still an important part of the conversation, and you're right, I did leave that out. Like an idiot. So, let's go ahead and continue here.
Dr. Kumar, can biological men become pregnant and give birth?
Okay, cool. So he's talking about cis men. At least I'm assuming. Because, again, the term biological man doesn't mean a whole lot to me, because we don't identify ourselves by our biology. We identify ourselves by our gender identity. That's kind of what it is. It's in the word. He said biological has carbon. Yeah, like, what is a biological man? Different than a robot, I guess. Like, that doesn't mean jack shit. But anyway.
So men can have pregnancies, especially trans men?
So can biological men become pregnant and give birth? So are you saying that a biological female who identifies as a man and therefore becomes pregnant is, quote, a man? Is that what you're saying?
These
Yes.
questions about who can become pregnant are really missing the point. I'm here to talk
No,
about
no, no,
what's
no, no,
happening
no.
in Texas.
This is me asking a question
I'm answering
and
the
you
question.
answering.
He answered the question, dumbass.
I'm asking the question, sir, not you.
Right, and I'm answering the question. Somebody with a uterus may have the capability of becoming pregnant, whether they're a woman or a man. That doesn't make a
Okay, we're
difference.
done.
Not
we're
every
done.
person with
This
a
isn't
uterus has the
complicated.
ability
Let me
to
tell you,
become
if a person has
What
a
the
uterus and
fuck?
is born female, they are a woman. That is not a man, and the vast majority of the world considers that to be a woman because
Wow. So when you ask an expert their opinion on something and they give you that opinion, and then you just start dismissing it because it doesn't align with your fucking politics. Boy, howdy.
there are biological differences between men and women.
And those differences are very superficial, especially when we're talking about things that can be transplanted between the two of us.
I mean, clearly, any high school biology class teaches that men and women have different chromosomes.
High school biology? Can you please start taking college biology? Can anybody who does this, like, this is it's basic biology. Can you please start talking about complex biology then? Can you start talking about something other than what you learned in high school? Can you talk about things that, you know, are from more advanced classes? That could be helpful. I know it's complicated. I know reading words is hard, but please consider doing it. Jesus fucking Christ.
Females are XX chromosome and males are XY chromosome.
Oh boy! What is an intersex person? Y'all are right. Y'all called it.
Can't believe it's necessary to say this, but men cannot get pregnant and cannot give birth, regardless of how they identify themselves.
So, wait. So you're not going to show any more of that? Matt, are you sure there's not more? Is there any point where the doctor actually, like, goes into more detail? Do you just ignore that? Jesus fucking Christ.
So we see these exchanges now every time, pretty much any time there's any hearing in the House, we get this question from a Republican lawmaker: can men give birth? What is a woman? And I think it's great. I mean, it's fantastic. This is exactly what you should be
Matt Walsh, transphobia is fantastic to him.
doing. And especially if they're there to talk about anything related to pregnancy, if they're there to talk about anything science related, then yes, you should get them on the record endorsing the idea that men can give birth.
Cool. As we saw looking at articles earlier, theoretically, it is actually entirely possible. And if we're talking about intersex people, it is currently possible. Because there could be somebody who's intersex and has womb, uteri, everything, but still has other parts and still has a chromosomal alignment that would lead you to believe that they are a man. Looks like a man, talks like a man, acts like a man, whatever the fuck you want to use. And that person, who has lived their entire life as a man, still has those pieces in them and can still get pregnant as a result. Awkward. Weird. But okay, Matt. Sure.
So this is progress for the Republican Party.
Yeah, I know that Matt Walsh wouldn't listen because he is paid not to. I'm going to go on record and say this. Engaging with Matt Walsh in anything other than, like, a Twitter dunk is fucking worthless. Because people like Matt Walsh have a financial incentive to never change their opinion, and only change their opinion when they are in a situation where it is profitable for them to do so, or there is some grift they can hit for it. If you want an example of this, please consider the conversations that Destiny had with Sneeko. Conversations that lasted for a long time and were very financially beneficial to both parties. Sneeko did not change on any major positions. And this is what happens. When you have a financial incentive to not change your opinions, the likelihood of you doing so goes down very, very quickly. But back to the conversation at hand.
I'm glad they're doing it. But you notice the response there. The response was, yes, men can get pregnant, especially trans men. Especially. Not only, but especially.
Yeah. Again, there are a variety of instances in which a man might find himself either with a transplanted womb, again, something we have noted is theoretically possible, as we just looked it up earlier today, or an intersex person who has grown up as a man and has every marker of a man and yet still has these abilities.
Now, a trans man, quote unquote, is a woman
Quote unquote.
who identifies as a man. And yes, we all know that those individuals, I mean, if they haven't mutilated their body or sterilized
Mutilated or sterilized. Jesus fucking Christ, Matt.
themselves yet, they can get pregnant. So we know that. Yes, a woman who calls herself something else or mentally identifies another way can still get pregnant. She still has all the functions of a woman. That's out.
No, that's... We're just in transphobia. Like, it's just transphobia. Matt can be like, I'm not a transphobe, look at me, but every single word out of his mouth is just that. And yet, YouTube allows this on their platform.
Our point. That's what we're saying. That actually helps us. That yes, no matter how you identify, unless you go to a surgeon and tell them to start removing parts of your body, doesn't matter. No matter how you identify, your biological essence, the biological reality remains.
Your biological essence? What the fuck is biological essence? Transcom? What the fuck is that? Please tell me when in science we use the term biological essence. The fuck does that mean?
But what about, but especially? So especially means that, well...
Ah, I see. You're right. That's the gender fluid. We found it. We have discovered the gender fluid.
In particular, women who identify as men can get pregnant. But since you're using the word especially, that would seem to indicate that even non-trans men can get pregnant.
Yes. Intersex people.
So the claim that we just heard from that doctor is that not only women who identify as men can get pregnant, but actual biological men can get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing that can happen in very rare circumstances.
This is what we hear from doctors now.
No, this is what you heard from a doctor. And then you might hear from a variety of other doctors, also known as experts in their fields. You might hear things that make you uncomfortable. You might. You might. Let's see here. One sec. Do. Let's see. Do. Okay, so that is an instance where, let's see. Do. Oh, hold on. So when we look at stuff like this, it's like, is it possible for men to get pregnant? Yes, it's possible, but first we got to break down some misconceptions. Not all people who were assigned male at birth identify as men. Those who are cisgender men. Conversely, some people who were assigned AFAB identify as men. These folks may be transgender men or transmasculine people. Say some people who have uterus and ovaries are not on testosterone and identify as men, or as not as women, may wish to become pregnant. Unless you've taken testosterone, the process of pregnancy is similar to that of a cisgender woman. However, we'll focus on the... Wow, it's almost as if the language used in articles that talks about this actually includes trans people. For Matt Walsh's positions to work, he has to actually fucking erase trans people from existence. So I doubt he even goes to a doctor because it's Precious Grifter online personality. Oh, no, he probably definitely goes to a doctor because he can afford it. Let's see here. 1 second. Let's see. Dude. So I wonder if that's what his end goal is. I think Matt Walsh would be most comfortable in a world where trans people stopped existing. Whether that meant they all, disappeared, or in a world where they all just happened to suddenly realize that they weren't trans all along. Whatever the fuck it was. I am 100% certain that that is the type of world that Matt would prefer. But okay. Jeebus Christ. When we talk about the instance of can a man get pregnant, the answer is, in most cases, no, if we are talking about cis men. There are rare cases where an intersex person can have all of the markers of a dude and therefore get pregnant. There are theoretical cases where implementation and transplanting uteri can happen that will allow it. Yeah, intersex cis man. Chaos Dragon, thank you for redeeming your points, friend. Ada, you fucking degen. And then, especially in cases where a person is a trans man, there is a higher likelihood of a functioning uterus there. And therefore, the answer is yes, with an asterisk. There's nothing wrong with a doctor answering that question with yes, asterisk. Because there are qualifiers. When you try to talk about biology and you only ever want to break it down into its simplest form, you think that everything in biology gets to be super complex, and yet magically, human biology gets to be really simple. Human biology is only as simple as your brain. But we'll go ahead and continue. Is there anything else of worth in this video, Matt? Do you have anything else to tell us that actually fucking matters?
Something that we unfortunately, again, always have to keep in mind when you're going to the doctor, you're consulting any healthcare professional. I'm not saying that you never should. I'm not saying that you should, swear off modern medicine entirely. That wouldn't be a good idea for your own health and safety. But you do have to keep in mind that much of the medical profession is totally compromised and has been claimed by this absolute abject insanity.
Yeah, the insanity of having nuance in our answers to questions. Ah, yes, that insanity.
And has lost its grip on physical reality. So you got to remember that and just be cautious and look out for that. A little bit later on, AOC chimed in and had a rebuke for the transphobia that we just heard there, but something also to say before that. Let's listen.
Briefly, I'd like to address some of the prior claims that, several prior media claims, one being that abortion is not an economic issue and that we should be focused on economic issues. And I also, I think it's important to state that that abortion is an economic issue. Forcing poor and working class people to give birth against their will, against their consent, against their ability to provide for themselves or a child is a profound economic issue. And it's certainly a way to keep a workforce basically conscripted to large-scale employers and to employers to work more against their will, to take second and third jobs against their desire and their own autonomy.
What's the problem with this statement? What's the issue here? It is more expensive to be a parent than it is to not. There are people who do not wish to be parents due to the expense. Those people are typically better off not being parents. What's the issue here? How's Matt Walsh going to have a problem with this?
Autonomy. And so the idea that that abortion and access to abortion is somehow not a profound and central economic and class issue and class struggle is certainly something that I think a person who's never had to contend with the ability to carry a child, it belies that perspective. And it's disappointing to see. But secondly, I think another thing that I'd like to address is that the same folks who tell us and told us that COVID's just a flu, that climate change isn't real, that January 6th was nothing but a tourist visit, are now trying to tell us that transgender people are not real. And I would say that their claim is probably just as legitimate as all their others, which is to say, not very much at all.
She is so stupid all the time. And it's not a put on, it's not an act. I mean, some of these people on the left.
What was dumb about anything she said there? Matt, can you in your absolute one brain cell dipshittery explain to me how anything he said, how anything AOC said there was like wrong or dumb?
There are people on the left who are quite intelligent, and they're the ones you have to watch out for the most. They're very smart and scheming and devious, and they say things that they know aren't true. But
wow, look, the projection.
I don't think that's true for AOC. I think she actually is enormously dumb. That's what I think that the issue is for her. So when she says, trans people exist, you're denying the existence of trans people, I'm willing to believe that she actually believes that that's the issue here.
You are denying the existence of trans people, though. Okay, look. It's very simple. If a trans person's existence is as a guy, and you tell that trans person that no, they are a girl, you are denying that trans person's existence. They do not exist as a girl. They do not exist as this idea you have in your head. You aren't denying that they exist ontologically, but you are denying that them, as a person, with thoughts and feelings, exist. What you are doing is arguing that they, as an object, exist. An object that you are able to superimpose your beliefs onto, but whom their beliefs about themselves don't matter. That's what's happening there, Matt. That's what that is. You absolute dumbass.
Of course, it isn't. No one is denying that, quote, trans people... Obviously, we know that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. How can you claim in one breath that we're transphobic, and in the other breath, we're denying the existence of trans people?
But by both. To deny the existence of trans people is transphobic. How is that not difficult for you to understand? How is that difficult for you to understand? If I were to go outside and tell every Christian that there is no such thing as a Christian, that people who call themselves Christians aren't Christian, then saying that I'm doing something that is Christophobic or Christianphobic, it is accurate to say that I am doing that. I am engaging in that kind of bigotry. And yet, when you do that thing, because when you tell somebody that they think they're trans and you think that their existence is not true, not real, not how they perceive themselves, that's what you're doing, Matt. This is a giant word game for you.
If they don't exist, then there's no... So are we afraid of them, or do we deny they exist? Because if we're denying...
Nobody says that you're afraid of them, Matt. Holy fucking shit. No. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're here. We've literally got as much out of this as we're going to. There's nothing more we're going to get out of this absolute fucking bell end. Think about it. Once somebody starts saying, I'm not transphobic, I'm not afraid of trans people, I could take them in a fight. No, that's not what that word fucking means. 95% of the time. You are being an obtuse piece of shit playing a word game. I'm not here for the word game. We're not here for that. Homophobia does not mean you're afraid of homosexual people. Transphobia does not mean you're afraid of trans people, though you should be. I'm kidding. I can't speak for trans people. I'm cis as fuck. Anyways, the British accent made me think about rolling. Sometimes the jokes land. Sometimes they land. Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and say, if there's anything else in here that I miss, let me know in the comment section below, but I don't think there is. We're on the loop now. We're on the loop. As always, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like if you haven't already, and insert end of video tagline here.